Hello, poor people. How are you today? Tonight's teaching is a restructuring of a subject we explored years ago. As a consequence of tonight's discourse, finally, you'll be able to make sense of your life. You see, this video is tailored to people who have done their best, who have given it their all, who have tried at an endeavor, and yet success seems to be elusive. Please understand, if you have not taken responsibility for your life or you still struggle with motivation, discipline, shelve this video for later. I'm talking about those individuals, the misfits, who have committed themselves to a path, and yet the result is inconsistent with their level of effort, persistent, every single thing they put on the line to achieve this goal, and yet it didn't work out. If there's anything I've understood about life, sometimes you can invest it all, you can risk it all, you can go big, you can try your best at an activity, and your testimony will be that of the fisherman. Peter said, Master, we have toiled all night. We have toiled all night. The boat was there. The net was there. They were in the sea to show you how diligent, and yet no result. Be very careful when you laugh at people, because not every poverty, not every inconsistent result is rooted in laziness. Finally, as a result of this discourse, you would understand the experience. You'll be able to make sense of your circumstance. As we have explored in previous teachings, that perception is more important than whatever circumstance, because how you see things is what determines how things are. And how things are affects your emotion. Your emotion, for most people, determines whether you go forward or not. Perception is key. How you see a thing. You see, your circumstance is not what causes problem. The interpretation of those circumstances is what hurts you. If you lose a job, for instance, you're hurt. It is difficult. Perhaps this was your source of livelihood and you lost it. If you come to the consciousness that maybe at the back end, this loss was supposed to propel you to become an entrepreneur, based on that pain, you built something magnificent, would you still be upset or try new things? Exactly. So it's the perception of a situation that determines whether it profits you or not. I've said it countlessly. There's no such thing as good or bad. It depends on what side of the aisle you stand upon. So good or bad depends on what side you're on. The government in Africa today is bad to you, the peasants, but to the elites, not so much. As terrible as Nigeria's situation is, there are billionaires rolling out every single day. There are millions of dollars exchanging few hands daily. So the economy is not favorable to you. Let's stay on track. Let's stay on track. Sometimes the goal is not the outcome. The journey is the goal. That's the title of tonight's teaching. The goal is not the result you get, but the process of becoming. Most of you in endeavors, business, sports, anything that is legal within the span of 2, 3 years, and you've not gotten the desired results, it's most likely you'll be spiteful, bitter. But if you compare this version to 3 years ago, you will notice something very interesting. You've grown, you've become wiser. Many are quick to get upset over the failed venture, the failed business, what didn't work. Yet, the confidence you built in engaging that business, the mastery of networking as a consequence to try and grow the business, and the various skills you picked up along the way has improved your life significantly. There are people now who can walk into an interview without preparation and they still execute flawlessly. It wasn't always this way. A consequence of the various endeavor, of the various preparation. Before business, most of you weren't confident. Most of you had nothing going on for you. And finally, this business puts you in a position where you had to deliver results. You had to go out, connect, meet with people. And I've shared countlessly. The micro leads to the macro. How you do the small things leads to how you do the big things, which is why I heavily discourage an easy life. Living an easy life where you're not stressed, you're not pushing something, you're not trying to achieve a goal will make your life difficult. Not just from the financial aspect or you didn't get money, no, no, no. But there are minor things today. There are things you see as common sense, which is work to the average individual. For instance, there are men who still get worked up about approaching a lady. They will spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on fake coaches, mentors, gurus, and all of these Ponzi schemes. And yet, this is a gift. This is something you've received freely. What about the virtue of being disagreeable? As common sense as it is to you, the ability to say no, your idea is shit, no, your opinion is rubbish, no, I refuse to do this, no, I do not stand for that. The ability to say no is a virtue, something you picked up along the way. Yet some guy who's never taken risk, never done difficulty, never done anything worthy of admiration still struggles with. I've shared this story countlessly. When I invested in my first business, 6 months into it, I put up my tuition, my house rent, and because of the level of my transformation, I thought manifestation requires you to deplete your savings. Well, since you're expecting resources from this business, you might as well go all in. You might as well deplete your savings. You might as well spend any extra money you have. What do you mean by that? Well, erring in the opposite direction means you do not believe it's coming. And if you understand manifestation perfectly, you already can identify the blunder. As ridiculous as this sounds, most people still sustain this belief. Well, I need to spend everything. If money is coming from here, then saving means I'm creating a system of escape. It's like a plan B. I'm prepping myself for failure. Therefore, I have to leave no room for escape. But engaging in all of those externalities, even the words you use, it's coming, negates completely the whole concept of manifestation. Manifestation is something you be. Nothing is coming. You already have it. It's already here. That's the mindset of a true manifestor. But that's a different discourse in and of itself. Let's stay on course. So I invested in this business. I risked it all. I made all kinds of comments. Check me out in the next XYZ. And you see my progress. And guess what happened? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Like nothing happened. The school was calling up, pay your tuition, else you get kicked out, else you don't write the exam. And you know exactly what happens. The landlord is banging the door. Where is my rent? I don't want no stories. You told me last week. It was a dire situation to be in. And just sitting in the middle of this implosion. What happened? I took the risk. I took the step of faith. I thought the signs follow. I have already made progress. I've done something with my life. Here's the result. If you're in that phase of your life, I'm here to tell you, don't give up. Keep persisting. Keep pushing. Anytime you feel the urge to quit, look at yourself. Compare to the previous version. Ignore the outcome. Ignore the increase in business. Ignore the growth of the bank account and focus on things which are internal, things that you've learned that cannot be taken away. Business can be taken away, assets can be freezed, finances can be freezed, but the wisdom, the experience, the boldness, every single thing you've learned on the journey is internal, is something that cannot be transferred. Compare yourself to the previous version. Find comfort that you're making progress. Find comfort of the consistent or from the consistent action engaged daily to produce an outcome, and you'll be fine. So I'm here to tell you sometimes the goal is not the outcome, the journey is the goal. I'll share a story of a young man who was saddled with the task of rolling up a boulder uphill. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months, months into years, and years into decades. And finally, guess what? He decided to give up. He was done. But he noticed an interesting part. His hand has become more callous, his bones more dense, his calves thicker than ever. Now, if that same kind of man goes into combat sports, any kind of endeavor and excels within a short period of time, you're most likely to classify that act as luck. But yet, because of the previous experience, you don't need to teach him about adversity. You don't need to teach him about confidence or persistence or how to do difficult things or how to handle a loss. He has been doing it for a decade. And now activity that yielded result and you foolishly think is going to stop because of a setback. He did something that didn't work for a decade and still did not give up. And you think your sport is scary? Is that what you think? Are you an idiot? Any combat sport, he already has the physique, he has the mindset, he has the tenacity, the drive, and you wonder where he comes from or where he came from. This is the problem with people. Nobody comes out of nowhere. It's a cliche, but truly, nobody comes out of nowhere. David did not kill Goliath by luck. He wasn't fortunate to kill Goliath. He killed the bear. He killed the lion. no applause, no commendation, no pat on the back. It was those experiences that led him to the throne. Making profit from the sale of sheep was the outcome, but the process led him to the throne. I don't think you understood that. Making process, he ventured into that business to make profit, but the process led him to the throne. It's the same thing with some of you. You are baking bread or you run, you're training as a professional athlete. Perhaps that activity, the tenacity, the drive you learn from there, it spurs you to become a businessman or professional coach who teaches other athletes to diversify, or you create some kind of brand from your pain. There's so many things you can do to utilize that process. Once again, sometimes the goal is not the outcome. The journey is the goal. And as always, my friends, it's a pleasure speaking to you. I'll see you in the next one.